Hey guys, how y'all doing? This is Louis Castro here with West Side Story YouTube channel. I got my nephew interviewing me today. He's with the Life of a Felon YouTube channel. We're here doing an interview, I guess, about my life story. Well, it'll be in a nutshell. I can't tell my whole life story, but I have a bachelor's in criminology, bachelor's in drug addiction, master's in penology. I have six escapes and 15 years incarceration combined, youth and adult facilities here in Texas. I have a bachelor's in legal studies, master in employment, and an MBA, master's of business administration.
Before you got all that, what led you to incarceration? How old were you the first time you got incarcerated?
Oh man, the very first time, I think I was about 10 or 11 years old.
How old you were in juvenile for like how long?
In juvenile itself, well, when you say juvenile, I'm thinking about the facility here in Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
I'd probably say maybe 6 months total.
What were you in there for?
Burglary. My choice of crime was burglary, theft.
Whenever you started doing that, of course, you went to the prison and all that. Is there a big difference between juvenile correctional officers and prison correctional officers? Do you see the difference?
You mean the ones from back then? In
Yeah,
today?
the ones with, like the
Oh
old
yeah,
school
definitely.
ones.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think some of them old guards, they were just with that mentality, of a, I would say it as a slave plantation. You know what I mean? They, they, they work you, man. They work you in the fields. Back when I was down, you had to go to the whole squad. You had to go out in the fields twice a day. You'd go out early in the morning, come back to eat, and you'd go back out after you eat. So you'd go out all day. But I was down during the time when they did away with that because I think the officers, I think it had to do with the officers. They're the ones who complained that they weren't, I think they were citing employment laws and, they weren't given enough breaks and stuff like that. So we kind of got lucky. I felt in the time where we only went a half a day. So
Do you think like whenever those, like when you saw those old school guards starting to retire and you had the new ones coming in, was a different like structure?
oh yeah, man, them new guards, man, they're young, man. I've seen them go in there young, man. I'm talking about flimsy young females. They had no education, no education at all. So that job requires, I would, to be a TDC guard, you would have to have some kind of psychology, sociology, or some kind of even law enforcement because, you're dealing with all these hardcore inmates. You know what I mean?
Did you hear about that story about the one, a female guard? She got caught having sex with the inmate. I think she got pregnant, but it's been in the news lately. She got caught. Did you see any of that in there? Like, was there any of that back then?
Oh yeah, man. They had that back then. You probably didn't really know about it because stuff like that, convict wouldn't he wouldn't want everybody to know his business, but you kind of knew that he had something going on with the female guard. You know what I mean?
People back then knew how to keep it, to themselves. And nowadays, everybody just spreads the word because they don't know how to keep their mouth closed.
I mean, I would even think that even just like the old guards from back then, I think that even some of the older convict inmates are maybe kind of faded out. You know what I mean? Kind of like Last of the Mohicans. Like nowadays, you got a lot of. Well, I've been out of prison for 13 years, so when I left, I started seeing like a lot of youngsters go in, you know what I mean? So just like the guards, they were, they didn't know anything, you know what I mean? They thought they did, but they were just wild, rascals they call them,
Yeah. How about, have you ever been on those buses, like the ones where they transfer you?
Oh yeah, the buses.
How was it? How was your experience on those kind of buses?
Man, them buses, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Them buses, man, they scared me, man, because when them officers are driving, man, they're driving so damn fast, man. I'm talking about fast, dude. You think, man, that you're gonna get in a wreck. In fact, there was an article. In fact, in 2015, I remember because I was working at a law firm, and I remember reading the article where bus was going so damn fast. A train split that bus in half, and some of them inmates, they were dismembered, man, because they're handcuffed together, so they were dismembered, man. That was they need to make a policy of that. By the way, you know what I mean? They don't need to be going fast because they're gonna get to what they're gonna get anyways. They don't they don't need to be speeding. They're risking their lives, their liability. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah.
How was it back then, like in the prisons, like in summer? Like, did y'all have AC or did y'all have those CDC fans? Do you think it's changed from back then, like when you were incarcerated until now? Like, did you see any of them like get like better AC units, or it's always been the same, just hot?
That's a good question because when I first went down, I went to a state jail. If I remember, they had air conditioning in that. I think that facility was WESTSIDE. It's a state jail. You had to do 2 years there before you hit a real unit. So they had AC there. But of course, once you get to the real units, they have like 3 or 4 different prototype units in Texas. One of them is like the McConnell's. I'll just use McConnell as a reference because they have like 15 of those or whatever throughout the state. Of course, those don't have air conditioning. Then you have the old prototype school units. Those are like the Ferguson's, Darrington. They have small cells and there is no AC, and it does get hot and it gets cold also, especially up in East Texas. Yeah, that's like punishment in itself.
In your opinion, I mean, have you ever been to the feds or no?
Nah, no feds.
Okay, so like in your opinion, what have you heard between state and feds? Do you think which one's cleaner? I would think feds because that's where you have all your judges, lawyers, things like that, right?
Yeah,
like,
as far as that goes. But I've heard of, I've heard of people, my brother himself, and just other stories through YouTube. Federal prison is just as bad and violent, But growing up, we always heard, it had a positive, a positive connotation in that, you get to play tennis, you got good food, you got racquetball, and all that fancy stuff. It's kind of like a club, you know what I mean, like a club fed. But I hear there's violence in there too,
How about food wise, like in the state? How was y'all's food there?
Oh man, food. I think when I first went down, it was fairly decent. But before I left, they started budget cutting. Is what it was. So they did away with I think they started feeding you. Breakfast and lunch, of course. But I heard the dinners were not so good, and they did away with the pastries, the desserts. So yeah.
How was did you notice anything like when officers, when they would do shift change, did you have like a favorite officer, like one like, oh, this one will cut for me or something like that? Like, because like everybody has a CEO that they're like, okay, this one's a little bit chill, he's relaxed, or she's relaxed, or whatever. There's always that one guard though that got to pressure every inmate there just to make a point. Did you ever experience that, like a guard always trying to make its point but overdoing it?
Oh yeah, man, for sure. That reminds me of in the education setting. You have there's like 4 different kinds of guards in sociology. You have I don't remember the name of them, but they're like the authoritarian, the wannabe, the one that wants to be cool. Mm-hmm. You have like different kind of guard set mentalities, and you'll know off the back of course. I mean, it's kind of like you live with them because they're there with you almost all day, so you get to know how they are. You know which ones write the cases, the bullshit cases, the frivolous cases, and the ones that basically just turn a blind eye and really don't care. As long as you're not, causing a wreck or being a rascal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did y'all ever how long were y'all out of y'all cells for? Was it 23 hours in the cell, 1 hour out of the cell? How did it work?
It depends what unit you're on. If you're like at a state jail, it's like a wide open bunk area, so you're just out there all day anyway. So
open dorm.
Yeah, but when you get to the ID units, you have like what they call in and outs. They have those every hour. So you have like 5 minutes, I think, to get in and get out, get what you got to need. It depends what what you're doing. If you're going to rec or you're going to school, you got to make sure you got everything you need before you go, because once they lock them doors, you can't get back in there. Yeah.
And how about like commissary? What was your days like? The last unit you were on, what was y'all's days? Like commissary was like Mondays. y'all go get commissary, or Tuesdays? How did that go?
Yeah, I believe commissary. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was every 2 weeks. You get to spend $60 every 2 weeks.
Are the prices different in there than it is from out here in the world, or are they about the same prices?
They're about the same. They're about the same.
Like now that you're out, you see the prices like of a bag of chips or something, and then you see them in there. Were they?
Yeah, they're the same. Like I think the noodles back then out here in the free world were like 10 cents, and they're like 25 cents, if not more now. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been.
All right, Life of a Felon. Go subscribe to the channel. This is my Uncle Lewis, a Westside Story. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. I'll put his link at the bottom of my channel, so y'all can click on it and hit the bell notification, and y'all go subscribe to his channel. He's out here in Corpus Christi. He's doing paralegal now. He's doing real good. He educated himself in there, followed up out here as well. So y'all go subscribe to his channel.